I was the manager of Harvey's Furnishings in Aylesbury. A few days after the 7/7 bombings, I was at home on a day off. It was a Sunday. I received a phone call from my shop, which was unusual as I was on a day off and not usually bothered. The phone call stated that they had been worried about the car that had been parked outside in our car park for 3 days, possibly abandoned, and that they were worried about it. I said, well, why are you worried about it? They said, well, it's most unusual. Now, it has to be remembered that our car park in the evenings had been a meeting place for local Muslims when the shop was closed. It had been obvious to us that the police had been keeping the place and those people under observation for some time. It was quite worrying. However, on the morning that I received this phone call about the car, I asked for information as I was at home. They told me that it had been abandoned for 3 days and that it was worrying them. Reluctantly, I went up to the shop on my day off and I looked at it, and it was a car which was not in pristine condition by any means. I looked in through the window. There was an extraordinary thing in the passenger's footwell which looked like a concrete block in the shape of a cheese. The whole car was an absolute tip, apart from the driver's section. Thousands and thousands and thousands of zinc nails, about 1 inch long, with sharp points, were spread all across the whole of the rear of the car and the back seat. There were packages of plastic bottles, brand new, the sort of bottles you would buy water in. The 60/40 seat was down, and in the back, in the boot, you could see the rucksack, brand new, absolutely the same as the rucksacks that the bombers had used. Now, it became obvious to me that this was not correct, so we phoned the police. Now, the terrorist police who had been observing the place had gone. The bomb attack had been over, so I suspect that was part of the reason they had gone. But the Aylesbury police arrived. They looked round the car, looked under it, looked into it, and so on and so forth. They obviously phoned through for the identity of the owner from the number plate, and there was a bit of conversation outside among the police. They came in and they said to me, it's all right, nothing to worry about. This car is owned by a car hire firm in Luton. Now, my ears pricked up at this because I know that Luton is a hotbed of Islamic fundamentalism. However, they carried on to say it has been hired by a builder. So nothing to worry about, and they left. Now, I was perplexed. Nails, plastic bottles, rucksacks, Luton, and a car abandoned. As I was thinking about this, I heard a screeching of tyres outside. I looked round, and I saw someone in the car. This was within 5 minutes of the police leaving, and it was a girl, and she looked towards me, and I recognised her as the one that they now call the White Widow. I've known her for years. She's an Aylesbury girl, lived in Northern Road, was married to one of the suicide bombers, Jermaine. And she screeched out of the car park and off she went. Now, it is obvious to us as civilians that the car was hired in Luton, of course. Luton. Think about it. She was the White Widow. The car was full of nails, plastic bottles and rucksack. And yet the police were quite happy to walk away from it. Had they listened, they would have had a car with loads of information and captured the White Widow. I've been furious about it ever since.
Where's the White Widow now?
Nobody knows. They believe she's in Libya or somewhere. You see, what happened to her was she's a very intelligent girl at school, very clever. For some reason or other, she got involved in Islam and became a convert. Now, converts are the most dangerous, fundamental people that you could possibly find. They are even more fundamentalist and are grown up in that way. You know that because you became a convert to Christianity and you have become what we would call a fanatic. Right? Now that's what happened to her. She was an ordinary girl, very intelligent, very clever.
How did you know her?
Well, from round the town.
Was you at school with her?
No, she went to Quarrendon, I think. But I knew loads of girls and friends and people that knew her. She was an ordinary thing. Didn't know her well. But I knew her. I knew what she looked like.
What colour was the car?
Dark blue. The police still have records.